Hello everyone, I wanted to show some progress on the sculpture. This is a game piece and it's going to be to add a little flavor to our oathmark games. This is my way of representing an Indrik, and I am basing all of my representation on a woolly rhinoceros. They kind of describe it as a very intelligent woolly rhino in the oathmark book. So I decided to do a quadruped, and this is the sculpture that I have so far. And I'll still have a few odds and ends. I think it's enough for today. I've been working quite a few hours on this throughout the morning, and now it's time to do some other work in the studio. But I really wanted to get a good amount of work done on this sculpture. Whenever I sculpture, I usually give those projects priority. So just kind of, I'm fixing a few of the fur texturing here. I wanted a very wiry kind of fur texture. Woolly rhinos are represented in different ways, and there were certainly different species of woolly rhinos, so I kind of just went with one and, you know, took off with it. So now I am going to add some fantasy elements to this piece, and so far I'm happy with it. The armature has been working quite nicely. I'm very happy with that. The armature's been very sturdy, and that's very important. You can see some of the fur parting that I've been doing, and this is pretty much, I'm going to let this dry. This is fine the way it is, and then tomorrow I can come back and add a few more patches of fur, because this surface is going to be so rough, right, with all the fur texture, that I won't have a problem using fresh clay to stick to it. So how did I get to this stage? Basically, I haven't sculpted in a while, using my sort of wildlife sculpting skills for this piece, but basically start off with a mix of procreate clay, right? And I work with clay mixes. I never work with my green stuff pure. I work with clay mixes. And so I did a little bit of procreate and green stuff in the beginning. It creates a pliable material that is not as gummy, but still sticky. And so I then begin to add little clumps, little bit at a time. That is, I find, the best way to sculpt, just a little bit at a time. In some areas I will go a little bit bigger, right, with my pieces. And then I use my ball tool and I start to blend the clay. Now, you know that if you've ever worked with green stuff or procreate or any of these resin clays, for example, Avi's, the epoxy sculpt, any of these clays are very difficult to mix together. So I usually throw in some Fimo clay, right? Or I mix it with a little bit of super sculpey, and that reduces that gumminess, and it actually helps to mix the clay. The other reason for mixing my clays with baking clays is that it stops the resin clay from getting hard too quickly, so it kind of prolongs the hardness. And the interesting thing is that the hardener in the clay is going to harden your baking clay without need to bake it. So that's pretty cool. And it also allows me to just kind of, it's a much more pliable material, and it also reduces the amount of resin clay that I use, because resin clay is very expensive. So far so good. I'm going to be working on the head tomorrow. That's just a matter of preference. I usually work on the head last. The legs, that's going to be a critical piece tomorrow, and then adding some fur patches here and there, finishing the tail. And then I may add, I don't know, maybe a collar, some chains, right, since this is a very big beast. Here is, all right, now that is one big rhino, and that's exactly what I wanted. Big, bulky rhino. And Julie has already claimed this piece for her. So, yeah, she's going to have an Indrik really soon. And maybe what I'll do is I'll just sculpt an undead Indrik. That would be kind of cool. So, there we go, folks. There's a little update on the sculpture. It's going well. Hopefully, it will be successful, and I will finish this very soon. Thank you, guys. And if you guys are interested in seeing more work like this, let me know in the comments, and we'll see what other creatures we could come up with for our games. All right, folks, have a good one.